Title's over. Arsenal never like scoring, and West Ham could have scored 2 or 3.
You could have said there was a sliver of hope, but now, shocking.
We're a football podcast, and we're now telling people to not watch the rest of the Premier League season.
What has he done that Ten Hag didn't?
Ruben out?
The worst manager in history.
It isn't funny anymore. It's actually, they're just dreadful.
Well, Matt, I don't know why you're not talking about the relegation battle.
For the American listeners here, that was sarcasm.
Marcus is back.
Rashford was on form of the weekend. He was back. You all doubted him. Rashford.
How many school dinners has Marco Asensio provided?
The best player in his position, probably for about 3, 4, 5 years. Ashley Cole.
Could we possibly call Mo Salah the GOAT?
But I think Steven Gerrard, for everything he did for Liverpool, he is, for me, the Premier League GOAT.
And I've gone with Ryan Giggs. Well, depressing times to be a Man United fan, almost as depressing as being a Southampton fan, so it's nice to talk about other teams that are terrible. Hello and welcome to the On Your Head Son podcast. We are back after a week off. We all had a very busy week last week, and sadly we just didn't have the time to record a proper podcast. But you'll be pleased to know that we are back and you get to hear our lovely dulcet tones again. First, let's welcome Andy.
Yeah, I don't know what dulcet means. Yeah.
It means sweet and soothing. Indeed.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah. Right, Andy, tell us, what did you get up to last week?
I went to Amsterdam, as the followers of our Instagram and TikTok will know. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. And what was your highlight, low light, and your middle light of Amsterdam?
I was on a big high for most of the trip. It was the canals, and the canals, and the canals.
What, that was the highlight,
That
the
was
low
the
light, and the
highlight,
middle light?
light, and the low light. It was great, all right, and
There we go. I
guess it depends on what canal you're looking at, doesn't it?
yeah.
There's something deep and philosophical in there. All right, Matt, same question to you. What did you get up to last week?
Oh, I had a good week. I had a really good week. I've literally just been working, I'm not gonna lie, for the last 10 days, I think every day. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah, loving life. What can I say?
Well, I want to hear your highlight, low light, and middle light from that week because it sounds fascinating.
Well, I mean, probably the I'll start middle. The middle light probably was. It was a really good work meeting. We got a lot done, and we got a report finalised, which was good.
That's average. That's good.
Yeah, but the low light was probably finishing at 2 a.m, getting my alarm going off at 5 a.m. That wasn't a fun. That was low. That was bad. And then the highlight, to be honest, I went to see Saints versus Brighton as a kind of like, come on, let's get back in the mood. And that was a 4-0 loss. So I mean, that was still a highlight though. So there's my 10 days. So.
The fact that your highlight was watching Saints lose 4-0 just shows what a bad week you've had.
Yeah. Not ideal.
You're welcome, guys. What about you, James? What's your last 10 days been like? What's your highlight, middle light, and low light?
So I was working out in Mexico for a week at an event, and then I stayed on afterwards and extended and went to Cuba for 3 or 4 days, which was super exciting. In terms of the highlight, it was probably experiencing the culture of Cuba. Like, it's super interesting. Very like broken off from the world, but yeah, like sipping rum, Cuban cigars, and like the old 50s American Chevrolet cars in American diners. It was really, really cool. But the low light was a pizza I had in Cuba. It was literally the worst pizza I've ever had. I took one bite and I didn't want to eat it. But I kind of sat and just very politely Englishly forced myself to eat like 3 or 4 slices. And then I asked for a box and then gave it to a kid on the street.
Yeah, there we go. Look at that.
And my middle light was also food related. It was just Cuban food in general. It was meh. It's just piles of meat and then rice and beans. Meh.
Well, we're sorry, Cuba. If your food isn't good enough.
Your food isn't good enough, but your rum and your cigars definitely are.
Fair enough. Also home of the smallest bird in the world.
What is the smallest bird in the world?
It's a bee hummingbird. Yeah, there you go. So,
well, I didn't see one, but doesn't mean I wasn't in the vicinity of one. Anyway, let's get back to the football. It's been a very busy couple of weeks, so there's so much to talk about. So you'll be pleased to hear that we are back to dissect it now. We had a bumper weekend of, weekend of Premier League football this week, with a game week at the weekend and another one in midweek. So many games, so much drama, and what a week of shocks we've had. So as I've been away, I'm going to leave this to Matt. Matt, can you give us a summary of what happened over the weekend?
The weekend, so before the midweek fixtures, right?
Before the midweek fixtures.
Title's over. Liverpool absolutely demolished City there. City looked like a team, to be honest, just massively in transition without any idea really what we're doing. West Ham doing a proper job on Arsenal. It was brilliant, to be honest. Not from an Arsenal point of view, but from a West Ham point of view, it was Arsenal never liked scoring, and West Ham could have scored 2 or 3. I mean, mentioned it before. Saints were just screwed over by Brighton. Conceded 8 goals in four days or whatever it was. So that was pretty bad. And then Newcastle Forest, brilliant game. I mean, I didn't really understand what was going on half the time. First half was a weird 4-1, I think, to Newcastle, and then went back to 4-3, and then that was about it. There wasn't really too much else, I think, over the weekend. But yeah, it was brilliant results. A few shocks. It was good fun.
Very good. And what was your highlight? What game stood out for you?
Obviously, I went to Saints Brian, but Aston Villa. Aston Villa, it's got to be, doesn't it? Aston Villa. Marcus is back.
Rashford was on form of the weekend. He was back. You're all doubting him. Rashford, come on.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It was actually Asensio who also
2 assists. You know, it's fine. It's not selfish.
He's not English, so it doesn't matter. He's not English, so it doesn't matter. So,
That's what I heard about That's what all the news stories about Rashford. Come on.
How many school dinners has Marco Asensio provided?
It's a very good point.
It's a good point. How many Champions League has Marcus Rashford's got there?
But he's fed more kids.
Very good. Right, well, Andy, why don't you give us a summary of the midweek games?
Right, well, Rashford didn't do great midweek. They lost 4-1 to Crystal Palace, where Ismail Sarr scored 2 on his birthday, which was fun.
Happy birthday, Ismail Sarr.
It's happy birthday, Ismail Sarr. Saints lost 4-0 again, so yeah, nothing really much to talk about there. And a big one was Arsenal. Arsenal dropping out of the title race again. Losing it to West Ham and then drawing now, it's officially over. You could have said there was a sliver of hope, but now, shocking.
Nice. Well, is that your pick of the bunch?
That
for
is
Smith's Arsenal.
It was my pick of the bunch. I mean, it's boring. It's a 0-0, but just Forest did an absolute job on Arsenal, and the lack of not signing a striker in January is just showing. Like you can't challenge for a title without a striker. You can't put a CDM up top and just win the league. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, from the midweek games, I did get to watch a bit of one. I arrived back late yesterday and watched a little bit of Man U versus Ipswich on the TV. And I mean, that was just a funny game, really. Dorgu had a night to forget. Big mix-up with Onana and for the first goal, and then got sent off straight afterwards, trying to make up for it. But I just want to say that Man United really, I know it's not even banter anymore. Man United really are terrible. They're so fortunate that all 3 promoted teams are so bad. If you look at their team, I don't really actually get what they are, what they're trying to do. Their squad looks like mid-table at the very, very, very best. They're awful. They really are.
Out?
Yeah. Ruben out already.
I think you could get Ruben out. What has he done that Ten Hag didn't?
It actually makes you realise what a good job Ten Hag was doing, apart from the signings which he made, which were horrendous. Yeah. But with the actual players in front of him, he was sort of doing damage limitation football. And
if there's the only person I saw actually steady the ship at United was Ollie. Ollie at the wheel, and apart from that, I've not seen any other manager go in there and even make United look okay.
I mean, to be honest, I still think Amorim will end up doing a good job. I know, obviously, at the moment it's super struggling, but I think he's being stubborn, and it's a little bit annoying to watch. Really, I actually enjoy Man U now watching them because they are so bad. It isn't funny anymore. It's actually they're just dreadful, and you can see the players actually have no idea what they're doing on the ball whatsoever. I mean, Fernandes, actually, for all the critique I give him, he's the only one who is actually trying, and it's painful to watch. It's painful to watch him doing it, and he's not a great example of a system player at all. He needs to be just that number 10 who just floats around anywhere. But I'm not sure going forward whether he's going to suit this style of play at all. But
I just don't know what the system is. I mean, it's not apparent from watching them.
They look outnumbered everywhere. No matter if they're defending or attacking, there's no number. Midfield, they're always outnumbered.
But I honestly think that if you look at the quality of the players, Garnacho's all right. He's not that good. All their Hoyland, Xerxes, Garnacho, Diallo. These are their starting forwards. They're average players.
Garnacho's missed the most amount of chances, I think, this season, or the highest loss of XG.
He doesn't seem like he suits this system because you need the high energy from those front wingers or front wingers / cams or a right wing back, and he just doesn't give that.
Yeah.
Funny.
Well,
What a
depressing
game.
times to be a Man United fan. Almost as depressing as being a Southampton fan. So it's nice to talk about other teams that are terrible. But as Matt sort of highlighted, the big story really from the weekend and the midweek fixtures is the end of the title race, which was already kind of in inverted commas, given that Liverpool were far ahead. Arsenal just don't have it. Liverpool do have it. They look like a really well-oiled, efficient machine with players' abilities complementing one another. But within this, and this is something we're going to talk about now, they have become incredibly reliant on one man, the Egyptian king. Mo Salah has now scored or assisted, for 42 of Liverpool's 66 goals this season. That means he's scored or assisted 63.6% of their goals. These are insane stats. So despite how good Liverpool look as a team and like how organised they are still incredibly reliant on Mo Salah. So given those numbers, and they are incredible numbers, I think it's 25 goals and 17 assists. Yeah. Matt, is Mo Salah quietly having one of the best ever individual seasons in Premier League history?
Quietly? No. No. Loudly? Yes. I mean, literally. Quietly? Absolutely not. That's what everyone's talking about now, and it's ridiculous the numbers he's putting up. And even his all-round play, which I was last year slating him quite a bit for his all-round play. I thought his all-round play was pretty poor last year. But watching against the City game, I know Gvardiol is a joke, and we've ranted about him a lot, about how he's shit as a fullback, but you'd expect Gvardiol to be able to outstrength Salah. Salah was holding him off, chesting the ball down from like a 40-yard, 50-yard pass from Van Dijk, who's also, they're massively reliant on him as well. Let's put that out there as well. But Mo Salah, definitely having one of the best, if not the best individual season that probably I've ever seen. So yeah.
Very good. Yeah, I mean it's hard to argue that, and I guess there's still a quarter of the season left, so I think we can probably judge that at the end of the season. But on what he's doing at the moment, he is on course probably to have the best ever. But that's if he sustains that. So following on from that, Andy, is it arguable, like given the consistency that Mo Salah has put in over the years, and in particular this year, could we possibly call Mo Salah the GOAT? Is he the Premier League's greatest ever player?
You can't call him the GOAT yet. I think if he stays an extra couple of seasons, because I doubted him as soon as Firmino and Mane left the front three, but he's just kept consistent numbers all through those seasons. And as Matt said with that point of how he held up the ball, he's actually adapted his play. So he doesn't have the absolute electric pace that he first had. He's still got, fantastic pace, but he's just adapted to the Premier League so well. So you can't argue he's in that conversation. He's up there with the Omris. He's up there with the Shearers and the Kanes.
So when you're saying that he's up there in the conversations, do you think he's top 5, top 10? Where are we ranking him?
I think he's probably 6th. I put him 6th.
Okay. Well, do you know what? Let's do this. We won't do a full top 10 each, but let's go for our top 3 Premier League players of all time. Andy, let's start with you.
Yeah. Right. Number 3, I'm going Big Alan Shearer. Just for everything he's done in the Prem, how amazing he was in front of goal, just the perfect goal scorer. Then 2nd, Thierry Henry. The seasons with Arsenal, I've never seen a player move like it. It was sexy. You look at every goal compilation you see, every time he moves forward, it was beautiful. And first, I've gone for Steven Gerrard. Just in that Liverpool team, how well he controlled Liverpool and honestly just did so much for that team defensively and going forward. I'm sure the brothers are disagreeing. Yeah. Towards the later years, 100%.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. Well, you can have your goes in a minute, son. All right, but I think Steven Gerrard, for everything he did for Liverpool, he is, for me, the Premier League GOAT.
Never won a Premier League.
I don't know where to start with Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard's an unbelievable player, but Premier League best ever player has never won the Premier League.
He was so good in that Liverpool team. He did so much for Liverpool. You can't underrate. He didn't have the teams that other players did. If you're looking at the team around Steven Gerrard, how well he played and how much he did for Liverpool, you've got to say he's up there. And for me, he's my GOAT. I did want to say John Terry, but I thought that might just be because I like him too much.
See, I think that John Terry is more of a shout for being the best Premier League player ever than Steven Gerrard does. I think that people's view of Gerrard is inflated. I wouldn't put him top 10 personally.
I'd put him top 10. That's silly.
There's a lot of people to consider.
Yeah,
like,
agree.
Really are, and it's really hard. And the other thing, which is like bias, it'll be interesting to see who you put as well, Matt. But it's definitely biased towards the front end of the pitch. And it's almost hard to compare some of the best like defenders or even goalkeepers and sort of put them in there because they're just completely different types of players. So I'll go ahead with my three, and my three do not include any defenders because it was just, it was almost just like a different sort of ball game completely. I've got two of the same that you've got in there, Andy, but I've gone with third place, and I've gone with Ryan Giggs, and I've gone with him for longevity as much as anything else, because I think that's a really important thing to consider. I think I had to put a Man United player in there, and it was between him and Rooney really for the options, but I think that Rooney is always a little bit overrated and had a very good 5, 6, 7, 8 years and then dropped off quite a lot. Whereas I think Giggs, and given the fact that he is the leading assist maker in the Premier League history by a country mile, that's why I've gone with him. Mm-hmm. Second, I've gone for my main man, my hero, Alan Shearer. The goals speak for themselves. And number one, I have gone for Thierry Henry. Yeah. I think he was just the most sexy, the most sexy footballer, really. Yeah, he was just that va-va-voom. And he scored a compilation of the best goals ever. He scored so many of them, so many assists, and he made that Arsenal invincible season tick. He was the one. So good. Yeah, for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, you can't argue with that. I'm gonna work down because I think I completely agree with you there. TT number one all day. I think you can't really beat that. I think again the va-va-voom, the no look passes. He brought playing football just fun. I think. And then exactly. Yeah, and I think how I've done it is I've gone who was the best in the world at any given one point in time. Like for example, in their position, and because obviously you compare it with other countries and actually Ballon d'Ors really. And my second one is a little bit rogue. Actually, no, my third one is a little bit rogue. My second one, I don't think is at all, and it's CR7. I think he was truly amazing. That 2008 season, 2007 to 2008 was just some of the best things you'll ever see in football, really. And I'm obviously a Messi man, but CR7 is number two, and number three, the best player in his position, probably for about 3, 4, 5 years, Ashley Cole. I think it's one of the most underrated kind of left backs you could possibly get. I think he was everywhere. He completely shut down Ronaldo, completely shut down Messi on games as well. He was the number one defender in the world, I want to say, for quite a bit of time. So those are my top three, which are a little bit different to how probably you guys have ranked it, but I think that's why.
Yeah, no, the thing is, there's so many different ways of calculating it. So for me, if you're talking about the best player to ever play in the Premier League, it is Cristiano Ronaldo. He is the best player to ever play in the Premier League. But for me, the longevity thing was something that I had to take into account. And for that reason, I wouldn't even put him in my top 10. I wouldn't, because he was only there for 3 really good seasons for I think it was 4 in the end. He was okay. The first season was good.
04 to 09, sorry.
Yeah. So that's why I wouldn't have put him in there. But no, completely makes sense. And Ashley Cole, what a player.
Yeah, he was brilliant, Ashley Cole. Yeah, incredible.
What a man.
Not sure top 3 though. I will be honest, not sure top 3.
But I think it's more about who was the best in their position at any given point. So I was kind of judging on that. In terms of other ways, like you said, James.
Honourable shout to Nathan Redmond as well. But anyway, moving on. So let's get back to the present. So getting back to the current season, an important question. With Liverpool running away with the title and the promoted teams, including Saints, being so shit, is there any point in anyone watching the rest of the Premier League season? Matt?
No.
We're a football podcast.
We've
had a week off. Let me finish. We've had a week off, and we are now telling people to not watch the rest of the Premier League season.
Just listen to our podcast. You'll get all you want. To be honest, like there's nothing going on. Bar the
Yeah.
top four race. Watch the top four race because no one wants it. No one's grabbing it. Everyone's drawing. Everyone's dropping points. So go for that.
Well, Matt, I don't know why you're not talking about the relegation battle. Because Saints, I mean, we're looking great. 1 win in 4 games. Like, we're looking, whoa, we might stay up, I reckon. Yeah, it's worth watching. Keep an eye out, boys. Whoa.
For the American listeners here, that was sarcasm. But like, come on, guys, that won't do. Like, we can't. I said we can't have a week off. Come back here and tell people not to watch football. So, Andy, I'm going to ask you. You did a little bit there, but
Okay.
can you give your best sales pitch to our listeners as to why they should watch the rest of the Premier League season?
Well, it's football. You never know what's going to happen in football. So, it might work out. You never know. Arsenal might get back in a title race. Probably not, but they could, and that would be fun. And also top 4, whoa, there's a lot of teams going for it. So that's actually pretty good. I mean, I actually went from sarcasm to the real there, because that's actually a really good race. But relegation, yeah, Saints could stay up. So give it a watch. Make sure you tune in, because, whoa, firecrackers.
Well, I can tell he works in sales and marketing. I'm sold. I don't know about you, Matt.
No, he's not. He's not.
Not sold at all. Well, with all that excitement and that being said, what we have to look forward to this weekend is another weekend of the FA Cup. Woo!
I mean, I hate to be flat on this kind of thing, but I mean, literally, after two 4-0 Saints losses, and now we're talking about the FA Cup. I mean, at least to be honest, we can't lose. We can't lose this weekend. It's impossible. So
It is impossible for a
There you
change.
go.
So with no Premier League, it's still that time of the week. All going to pick one game to watch each. So this time I'll go first. So I'm going to go over to Italia, to Serie A, and I'm picking out the battle of the top 2. Napoli were way ahead for quite a while, but Inter have drawn their way back into it and are now top. So there's just 1 point in it. I think, given the importance of the game, I'm going to go for a fun score draw. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-2.
I think, to be honest, it really could be anything. I can't say I watched loads of Serie A, but from the highlights of McTominay reels, you've got to back him. So
Well,
here
if
we
you're
go.
saying that, Matt, if you're saying that the Premier League is not interesting, then watch Serie A because that's interesting this year.
It's Serie A and the Liga, really interesting. So yeah.
Yeah. Right, Andy, what's your game to watch for the weekend?
Well, I've gone for the FA Cup. Stayed in England. A bosh. And I've gone for Man City versus Plymouth. You talk about it being a boring season with Liverpool winning everything. Not against Plymouth. So Plymouth, they've taken on Liverpool and won. Can they do it to Man City? I reckon they can. I'm backing them. I'm going to go for a 1-0 to Plymouth.
Oh,
love that.
Yeah, come on.
Wazaball didn't work, but whoever the coaching staff are there are absolutely cooking.
They've got such a bounce from firing Wazza. I mean, it works so well.
The worst manager in history. Okay, Matt, over to you.
I mean, from one bad manager to another bad manager in the Premier League. However, in the Championship, he cooks. It's Frank Lampard. Come on, it's Coventry. So come on, Coventry versus Oxford United. I think Coventry have won 7 and 8 or something like that since he's taken over. So yeah, it's brilliant. My mate's a Coventry fan, so he goes to quite a few of the games, and then been listening to him, talking to him quite a bit. So yeah, shout out Benjamin. But yeah, so let's go Coventry.
Okay.
2-1. I don't know. 2-1 win to Coventry. Go on, Lampard.
Excellent.
Frank.
Well, I cannot wait to watch Oxford United versus Coventry City this weekend. Pack the bags of popcorn, guys. We're in for a roller coaster of
It's a
emotions.
good one.
Brilliant. Well, from the weekend's games to our game of the week, and it is Andy's game. So over to you, Andy.
Yo, welcome back to the game show. I've not won one, but this time I'm the host, so no worries about that. Today we're going to play Can You Name That Spanish Arsenal Player? That's pretty much it. I was quite lazy this week. So, you're going to go back and forth and name a Spanish Arsenal player. Simple as that. And the first one who doesn't name one loses.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Simple.
Makes sense.
Simple. Yep. So, who'd like to start?
I don't really mind.
Well, Matt, you seem excited.
Okay,
so,
fine, yeah,
so for that, Matt, you get to start.
But I'm wearing a Spanish top actually, so yeah.
Exactly, España, Right. You each get, let's say, 5 seconds. 5 seconds to name one. All right?
Okay.
So, Matt, you go first. 3, 2, 1, go.
Arteta,
David Raya,
Marino,
Manuel Almunia,
Bellerin,
Nacho Monreal,
Fabregas,
Santi Cazorla.
Ceballos.
Yep.
Oh,
4, 2, 1.
I've got it. I've lost it.
No, he's got it. He's out of there. He's
I
gone.
had two people. And one of them
España.
played for Deportivo, and I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Reyes. That was
Reyes is good on, but that wasn't the one I was thinking
Lucas
of.
Perez, were you thinking of?
Lucas Perez is exactly what I was thinking
I
of.
thought you were.
And there was the centre back as well that I just couldn't think of a few
Mari.
years ago.
Pablo Mari.
That's
Pablo
it.
Mari, yeah, that's another
Mari
one.
and Reyes, that was it.
Marion Reyes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well played. Well done, Matt. Congratulations.
Well, fair play, Matt. Good game. Well done.
on,
Wearing the Spanish shirt as well.
Exactly, yeah.
GG.
Viva la Español. Viva la
España, un Carlos,
España,
go. España, There we go.
Brilliant. Well, with me losing, I guess that's my turn to do the game next week. But that wraps up Andy's game, this Spanish game.
Hey.
And I think that wraps up our agenda for the week. Does either of you have any closing remarks or things you want to add?
Just Rashford, keep feeding the kids, and you're going to smash it at Villa.
I think let's end on that. I mean, thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Rashford. Bringing back the love to football. That's what Rashford's doing.
Yeah, thank you, Rashford.
Thank you indeed. And a thank you also to Andy, and thank you to Matt. Thank you to our listeners. And until next time, please just remember that it's on your head, son.
Not off your head.
Son!
Yeah!
Wow.